So I think a lot that goes into this car and all the Hyundai vehicles, I mean, it starts with, you know, the engineering teams and thousands of engineers in Korea, the designers all over the world, they all work together. And I think just from that collaboration, you can save some costs. You don't have to make changes after the fact. If the engineers are working with the designers early on, you can plan for things like these deep door pockets, you know, the way the whole car is set up, the styling, because we did a lot with the styling and with pushing the shock towers down. If you notice, the hood is low and goes all the way to the grille. There's no cut line. So I think everybody's working together, and then even with the factory is involved early on in the process. And so everybody's, you know, cost is always a major thing. And we, as a product planner, you know, you're looking at costs all the time, you're making decisions. But I think in the final end, everyone comes together to build a car like this. And like I said, we're sitting in the limited model of the 2020 Sonata, and stickers at $33,400 plus freight. But you get a lot of car for that money. And, you know, and like I said, everyone works together, and you've got the 10.25 inch navigation and the 12.3 liquid crystal display. Just a lot of thought goes into it, and we listen to our consumers very closely, and we try to make changes in each generation. We even make changes mid-life cycle, which I first started at Hyundai was very surprising, but we always want to make things better. And so that helps, you know, bring a car like this to market. And like you said, you know, we do have a lot of content in here, but you have to price it right as well. So sedans are a little bit on the decline. Some manufacturers are backing away from sedans altogether. We kind of doubled down on the sedan to try and make it different. And I think it truly came out as a different vehicle, different sedan than any other vehicle currently in the segment. I remember we did some market research early on, and we had this car and some of the major competitors. And you walked in that studio and you said, wow, it just looks different. The proportions, the stance, it all comes together really nicely. And you bring a car like this to market, and you can price it like that, because you can't price, you know, at luxury. We've got Genesis above us too, so we got to be careful. Little anecdote, I showed the car to my mom a week or two ago, and she thought, wow, she got in, is this a Genesis? So yeah, it's just attention to detail, everybody working together, and you want to bring a car and give value to the consumers, and give, you know, differentiate it from the CUV. The styling alone differentiates it. A lot of the technologies on other vehicles, you know, we just launched Palisade as well, so like the cluster's the same. So economies of scale too factor into it, you know, because we're using this different execution, but basically same hardware. In other vehicles, like I said, the display, some of the other things, the shift by wire is, you know, shared across platforms. So as opposed to, but it's integrated nicely. It's not like you can tell everything is, you know, similar. So it's changed up. The styling is, you know, even though this is the same and this might be the same, the styling of this whole console is different. So it does, you know, look to be different. Let me go ahead and turn on the car and show you some of the, you know, features in here. Like I said, the screen, the wide screen displays everything very nicely. You get the splash screen on the liquid crystal LCD display when it brings it up. When you change drive modes, it actually changes the look and feel a little bit. So there's a lot, you know, like I said, we listen to our customers and want to make this experience as best as possible. A good example of that, in our audio system, this is the home screen. If you swipe over, there it is. Sounds of nature. So what other manufacturer does that? You know, so ambient music, you've got, you know, multiple to choose from. Lovely forest, calm sea waves, rainy day, open air cafe. It's just, it shows once again that attention to detail. And I'm not a big fan of these kind of things. But I was driving the car last week or the week before, leaving work on the 405 freeway, which is a nightmare all the time, especially as we're getting closer to the holidays. And I tried this out. I'm like, actually, that's kind of cool. You know, it just puts you at ease a little bit. You know, it's something different. Like I said, I'm not aware of any luxury brand even that has this built in, and it's playing through the Bose audio system, which is, you know, 12 speakers. So you really get a nice feeling once, you know. So the customer has options and choices, and that's always what you like to do. And you go back to the home screen, and you still got nav here, you've got the outside weather, and then your sounds of nature is here too, so you can still control it. Basically, we call them widgets, so 3 different subject matter. And, you know, from the climate control, even something as simple as, you know, we've got 3 fan speeds. Even though you're in automatic, you can minimize the fan speed to level 2, level 1. Basically the fan intensity drops. So once again, a lot of times, a lot of people I've heard, you know, in auto mode, yeah, it's okay, but the fan always seems to be too much. It's too, it's blowing too hard. So we said, you know, okay, we'll just make different levels. And so low, medium, and high. So just, you know, and even the charging, the wireless charging, we've increased the capacity 30%. And we also added a cooling fan. So normally with conductive charging, you know, you've had them before, the phone gets really hot to the touch when you pick it up. So this cooling fan built in basically keeps the phone cool, so you don't experience that. You know, it's a lot of effort to go through, and it's a lot of thought to do something like that. And then we've talked about other things, but I think just it's a very nice, you know, environment to be in. The way the steering wheel's set up, all your controls are easily laid out, the paddle shifters are right here. Just in general, a really nice place to be. So also features like we've developed Hyundai Digital Key, and our connected car team worked really hard to bring this to market. So basically a consumer can have an Android device, phone, download an app, and then basically it becomes their key. And you can share the keys with other like family members or friends securely if you want to give them access to your car. But with the digital key, you just walk up to the car. It uses NFC. You put it right next to the door handle. It senses it, unlocks it, lets you in. You put it in the wireless charger, and that authenticates the car or the phone and the device to the person, and you can start the vehicle. Also tied, you can have 2 drivers and I think 1 or 2 additional guests, and you can have unique profiles for them as well. So when you come up to the car, it knows which phone it is once it authenticates, and it'll reset, you know, presets, seating position, other things, you know, your search history and navigation will all be tied to who is in the car right now. So if your spouse gets in the car next with her phone, it'll be all set to their settings. So really unique personalization. We look forward to bringing that to other Hyundai vehicles in the future. I think this is a revolutionary car, and the fact that a lot of this technology landed with this car, and other things like we've done this in Palisade as well, but we've got traditional blind spot detection that's built into the mirrors. But see there, if you activate the left turn signal, you get a view of a very small camera that's mounted in the outside rearview mirror, so you can give you more visibility in your blind spot, and then to the right side as well. And then also a really cool feature about this 2020 Sonata is remote smart parking assist with the key fob. And the way the holidays are this season, you know, cars are getting bigger, parking spots are getting smaller. Even, you know, homes and garages, people seem to be storing more stuff in their garage these days. So everything gets tight. And so with remote smart parking assist, you can actually start the car from outside and either pull it forward or back out of the parking spot. It goes very slow, maybe 1 mile an hour, and you have to be standing outside near it. If you get more than, I think, 10 feet away, the car will automatically stop. But you can pull it out and walk with it, and we like to call it walking the dog, because that's really kind of what it feels like. You have no leash, but you have your key fob here, and you're moving with the car. You can go about 30 feet total walking the dog, and then, you know, you put it back. But just once again, another feature, you know, thinking about consumers and wanting to make their ownership experience that more, you know, enjoyable, and hopefully returning customer, you know, keep them in the Hyundai family. It's interesting to note, I mentioned all the personalization on the phone. If you come in and trade it, we're working on this in the future, but if you come in and trade in your Hyundai and get into a new one, all those personalization features just port right over, so you don't have to reset anything. So it's kind of like, you know, it's just like you never left. It's a new car, but all your setup is still there. So once again, always, you know, taking care of the consumer and giving them that experience that we want. So going back to the original one question, I think, you know, all this combines, you know, to make this car what it is. And future Hyundais, a lot of this will be incorporated, and we'll expand it even more. So yeah, it's definitely, we listen to our customer and we give them what they want. So I think that's, you know, one of the best ways. Everybody working together, the economies of scale sharing across the platforms, and, you know, I'm really excited to have this vehicle come to market.